The sealed envelope on my doorstep might as well have been a bomb. My hands trembled as I stared at the legal letterhead through the translucent window, knowing that everything I'd carefully constructed was about to crumble. How did it come to this? How did a secret I thought I could control forever turn into the very thing that would destroy me? The kitchen felt colder than usual that Tuesday morning. Martin sat across from me, methodically eating his cereal while scrolling through his tablet, the blue light casting shadows across his angular face. At 37, my husband had grown into the kind of man who measured his words carefully, who planned everything down to the last detail. It used to comfort me. Now it felt suffocating. "You were up late again last night," he said without looking up from his screen. It wasn't a question. I stirred my coffee, watching the cream swirl into pale brown spirals. "Just couldn't sleep. You know how it is with the fertility treatments. My mind keeps racing." Martin's eyes flicked up to meet mine, and I saw something there I didn't like. Suspicion? Concern? It was hard to tell with him anymore. Everything about our relationship had become so calculated, so clinical. Even our attempts to have a baby felt like a business transaction. "Maybe you should talk to Dr. Patel about something to help you sleep," he suggested, returning to his tablet. "Maybe," I murmured, but my phone buzzed against the counter and I quickly flipped it face down. Too quickly. Martin noticed, he always noticed, but said nothing. Instead, he made a small note in the leather journal he'd started carrying everywhere. "What's that for?" I asked, nodding toward the notebook. "Work stuff. Project timelines." His answer came too fast, too practiced. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. 7-year-old Maya wandered into the kitchen, her dark hair still messy from sleep, clutching her favorite stuffed elephant. She looked between us with those perceptive eyes that children have, sensing the tension, even if she couldn't name it. "Mummy, why do you and Daddy look sad all the time now?" she asked, climbing onto the stool beside me. My heart clenched. "We're not sad, sweetie. We're just tired. Grown-ups get tired sometimes." "But you used to laugh more," Maya persisted. "Now you just look at your phone." Martin closed his tablet with a soft click. "Maya, go get ready for school. I'll drive you today." After she left, he turned to me. "We need to talk about this, Ione. Whatever's going on with you, we need to address it. Maya's starting to notice, and that's not fair to her." "Nothing's going on," I snapped, louder than I intended. "God, Martin, you act like I'm some criminal just because I've been stressed. The fertility treatments are hard on me. The hormones, the appointments, the constant disappointment. But you wouldn't understand that because you just show up, do your part, and leave." His jaw tightened. "That's not fair, and you know it. I've been to every appointment, supported every decision." "Supported?" I laughed bitterly. "You mean you've sat there like a robot, nodding along? When's the last time you actually talked to me about how I'm feeling? When's the last time you held me without it being scheduled around my ovulation cycle?" Martin stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. "I'm trying, Ione. I'm trying to be what you need, but you keep pushing me away. You're secretive, you're distant, and now you're blaming me for responding to that distance." My phone buzzed again. This time, I saw Ethan's name flash on the screen before I could hide it. Martin saw it too. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. "Who's Ethan?" he asked quietly. "A photographer from work. We're planning the office holiday party." The lie came so easily it scared me. Martin nodded slowly, then picked up his journal and made another note. "I'll take Maya to school and head to the office. We'll talk more tonight." After they left, I finally looked at Ethan's message. "Can't stop thinking about yesterday. When can I see you again?" I deleted it immediately, but the damage was done. Martin had seen the name, and now he was asking questions. I needed to be more careful. My mother called while I was getting ready for work. "Honey, how are the treatments going? Your father and I are praying for you every night." "They're fine, Mom. Dr. Patel says we're making progress." "And Martin? How's he handling everything? I paused, applying mascara in the bathroom mirror. He's… Martin. You know how he is. Everything's a project to him. Men handle stress differently, dear. Your father barely spoke for weeks when we were trying for you. Give him time. But I didn't want to give him time. I wanted passion, spontaneity, someone who looked at me like I was the most important thing in their world. Someone like Ethan. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. At work, my co-workers in the administrative office buzzed with their usual gossip. Jennifer from accounting was getting divorced, Tom from HR was dating someone half his age, and everyone had opinions about everyone else's business. "How are things with you and Martin?" asked Lisa, my cubicle neighbor. "You seem stressed lately." "Just the usual married couple stuff," I said, but even as I spoke, I was thinking about Ethan's hands on my skin, the way he whispered my name like it was sacred. My phone rang. Martin. "I called Dr. Patel's office," he said without preamble. "They said you missed your appointment yesterday, but you told me you went." My stomach dropped. I rescheduled. The timing wasn't right." "Ione, what's going on, really?" "Nothing. God, why are you interrogating me? I'm handling the appointments. I'm managing my own medical care. Can't you trust me to do that?" "I want to trust you," he said, and something in his voice made my chest tight. "But you're making it really hard." That evening, Martin's mother, Linda, called. At 62, she was still sharp as a tack and fiercely protective of her son. She'd never quite warmed to me, though she was always polite. "Ione, dear, is everything all right? Martin seems troubled lately." "We're just dealing with the stress of the fertility treatments," I said, using my practiced response. "Of course, these things are so difficult, but, if you ever need to talk, woman to woman." "I appreciate that, Linda, really." But even as I said it, I was planning my next meeting with Ethan. Tomorrow was my real appointment with Dr. Patel, and I'd been thinking about something that could solve all my problems. That night, Martin sat in his study, writing in that damned journal again. I tried to peek over his shoulder, but he closed it when I approached. "What are you writing about?" I asked. "Just thoughts, trying to make sense of things." "What things?" He looked up at me, and for a moment I saw the man I'd married. Vulnerable, hopeful, loving. "Us, Ione. I'm trying to figure out how to fix us." Guilt twisted in my stomach, but I pushed it away. "Maybe some things can't be fixed, Martin. Maybe they need to be replaced." I didn't realize how prophetic those words would be. The fertility clinic always smelled like antiseptic and false hope. Dr. Patel's office was decorated with soft pastels and inspirational quotes about family, but all I could think about was the small vial in my purse. Ethan had been confused when I asked him for it, but he'd complied with that reckless attitude that first attracted me to him. "This is crazy, Ione," he'd said, laughing as he handed me the container. "What exactly are you planning?" "Just trust me," I'd whispered, kissing him in the parking lot behind his photography studio. "This could change everything for us." Now, sitting in the clinic waiting room, I watched Martin chat easily with Dr. Patel about the procedure. He looked so hopeful, so trusting. For a moment, doubt crept in. Was I really going to do this? "Mrs. Varell," the nurse called my name, "we're ready for you." The process was surprisingly simple. Martin had already provided his sample, and now it was just a matter of timing and biology. Except I had other plans. In the bathroom, I made the switch. My hands shook as I replaced Martin's sample with Ethan's, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure someone would hear it. This wasn't just about having a baby anymore. This was about having the right baby. A baby with someone who made me feel alive. I told myself Martin wouldn't really care about the genetics. He'd love any child we raised together. And if this worked, if I got pregnant, maybe it would bring back the spark our marriage had lost. Maybe seeing me as the mother of his child would make him look at me the way Ethan did. When I returned to the procedure room, Dr. Patel was reviewing my chart. "Everything looks good, Mrs. Varel. Your hormone levels are optimal and the timing is perfect. I'm very optimistic about this cycle." Martin squeezed my hand. "We've been waiting for this moment for so long." Guilt stabbed through me, but I pushed it down. Martin didn't understand passion, didn't understand what I needed. This baby would be better off with Ethan's genetics, his artistic temperament, his spontaneity, his zest for life. The procedure itself was clinical and quick. Afterward, as I lay on the examination table with my feet in stirrups, Martin held my hand and talked about baby names and nursery colors. His excitement was almost childlike, and for a moment, I wondered what I was doing. "Dr. Patel says we should know in about 2 weeks," Martin said as we walked to the car. "I have a good feeling about this one, Ione. Really good." My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. "Did you do it?" I deleted it quickly, but not before Martin caught a glimpse of my screen. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Just work stuff," I lied, sliding into the passenger seat. That night, my sister Ria called. At 31, she was everything I sometimes wished I could be: single, free, answerable to no one. She'd never liked Martin, thought he was boring and controlling. "So how did it go today?" she asked. I couldn't tell her the whole truth, but I hinted around it. "Let's just say I took some control over the situation." "Good for you. Martin's lucky to have you. Honestly, I don't know why you put up with his cold shoulder routine." "He's not that bad," I said, but even as I defended him, I was thinking about Ethan's warm laugh, the way he made me feel beautiful and desired. "Please, the man treats you like a business partner, not a wife. You deserve better, Ione. You deserve passion." She was right. I did deserve passion, and now, maybe, I was finally going to get it. Over the next few days, I found myself analyzing every sensation in my body. Was that nausea? Implantation cramping? Martin was equally attentive, bringing me tea and asking how I felt every few hours. "You don't have to hover," I snapped one evening when he asked if I wanted a heating pad for my back. "I'm just trying to take care of you," he said quietly. "I don't need taking care of. I stopped myself before I said something I couldn't take back. "What do you need, Ione? Tell me what you need, and I'll do it." But how could I explain that what I needed was someone who looked at me like Ethan did? Someone who made my heart race instead of just providing steady, reliable support. A week later, Dr. Patel called with news. "Congratulations, Mrs. Varel. Your blood test came back positive. You're pregnant." Martin was at work when I got the call, so I had a few minutes alone to process the news. I was carrying Ethan's baby. The thought filled me with a mixture of excitement and terror. When Martin came home that evening, I was waiting for him with dinner and candles. "What's all this?" he asked, loosening his tie. "We're celebrating," I said, unable to keep the smile off my face. "Dr. Patel called today." Martin's eyes widened. "And? We're having a baby." For a moment, he just stood there, processing. Then he crossed the room in 3 quick strides and swept me into his arms, spinning me around the kitchen. "We did it," he whispered into my hair. "We actually did it." His joy was so pure, so genuine, that guilt crashed over me like a wave, but I pushed it away. This baby would be loved, would be wanted. That was what mattered. "I love you so much, Ione," Martin said, his voice thick with emotion. "I know things have been hard between us lately, but this changes everything." I wanted to feel the same way, but all I could think about was telling Ethan, about seeing his face when he learned he was going to be a father. That night, as Martin slept beside me, with his hand protectively over my still flat stomach, I stared at the ceiling and wondered what I had done. But it was too late for second thoughts now. The die was cast, and all I could do was see where it landed. My phone buzzed with another text from Ethan. "When can I see you? I've been thinking about what you said about changing everything. I deleted the message, but not before taking a screenshot. Someday, I might want to remember this moment, the moment when everything started to change, for better or worse. The pregnancy announcement on social media was everything I'd dreamed it would be. I spent an hour crafting the perfect post, choosing a photo of baby shoes arranged artfully next to a positive pregnancy test. The likes and comments poured in immediately. OMG, Ione, congratulations! You're going to be such an amazing mom. Finally, I've been waiting for this news. Martin must be over the moon. But Martin wasn't in any of the photos. I'd cropped him out of the ones we'd taken together, claiming he was camera shy when people asked. The truth was, I wanted this moment to be about me, about my triumph, my success, my miracle. At work, the attention was intoxicating. My co-workers gathered around my desk, asking about symptoms and due dates and nursery themes. For the first time in months, I felt special, important, celebrated. You're glowing, Lisa said, bringing me herbal tea. Pregnancy suits you. Thank you, I beamed. I feel amazing, like this is what I was meant to do. Jennifer from accounting leaned against my cubicle. How's Martin handling it? Some men get weird about pregnancy. Oh, you know Martin, I said with a wave of my hand. He's practical about everything. But I'm the one doing all the hard work carrying this baby. I'm the one who made this happen. It wasn't entirely untrue. I had made it happen, just not in the way they thought. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Saw your announcement. We need to talk. I deleted it quickly, but the message made my stomach flutter. Not with morning sickness, with anticipation. At home, Martin was researching cribs and car seats with the same methodical approach he brought to his IT projects. He'd created spreadsheets comparing safety ratings and price points, printed out articles about nursery design and child development. Look at this, he said, showing me his laptop screen. This crib converts to a toddler bed and then to a full-size bed. It's an investment in the child's future. That's nice, I said absently, scrolling through the congratulations on my phone. Ione, are you listening? We need to make these decisions together. I'm listening. Buy whatever crib you want, Martin. You're good at research. He closed the laptop with a frustrated sigh. This isn't just about research. This is about our child, our future. I know that, I snapped, but I'm the one carrying this baby. I'm the one whose body is changing, whose life is being turned upside down. Maybe I want to enjoy the congratulations for 5 minutes before we start planning the next 18 years. Martin's expression softened. You're right, I'm sorry. I'm just excited, and when I'm excited, I plan. It's how I process things. That evening, both sets of parents called to congratulate us. Martin's mother, Linda, was overjoyed, already talking about knitting blankets and planning visits. His father, Derek, was more reserved but warm, offering practical support and advice. My mother, Donna, was emotional on the phone. Oh, honey, I'm so happy for you. After all those treatments, all that stress, it's a miracle. It really is, I agreed, thinking about how right she was, though not in the way she meant. Ria's reaction was the most satisfying. Finally, you deserve this, Ione. You've put up with so much, been so patient. This baby is going to change everything for you. I think you're right, I said, and I meant it. But the attention wasn't enough to quiet the growing restlessness I felt. Martin was attentive, almost obsessively so, but in that careful, measured way that had always frustrated me. He brought me prenatal vitamins with breakfast, researched the best pregnancy apps, scheduled our first prenatal appointment with military precision. What he didn't do was look at me the way Ethan did. He didn't make me feel wild and desired and alive. I started meeting Ethan at his studio during my lunch breaks. He was fascinated by the pregnancy, by what we'd done together. I can't believe you actually went through with it, he said, running his hands over my still flat stomach. You're incredible, Ione. So brave, so bold. I had to do something, I said, melting into his touch. Martin and I were dying a slow death. This baby, it's going to save us. Or it's going to save you, Ethan murmured, kissing my neck. From a marriage that was suffocating you. The thought sent a thrill through me. Maybe this wasn't about saving my marriage at all. Maybe this was about finding a way out of it. At my first prenatal appointment, Dr. Patel was pleased with my progress. Everything looks perfect, Mrs. Varel. The baby is developing beautifully. Martin squeezed my hand, his face radiant with joy. When will we be able to find out the sex? Around 20 weeks, Dr. Patel said. But for now, let's just focus on keeping Mom healthy and happy. As we left the clinic, Martin was practically bouncing with excitement. Did you see the ultrasound? The little heartbeat? That's our baby, Ione, our actual baby. His joy should have been contagious, but all I felt was a growing sense of unease. Not guilt, I'd pushed that away weeks ago, but something else. A nagging worry that I was building something unsustainable. That worry crystallized when we got home and found an envelope from the clinic in our mailbox. Martin opened it absently, then frowned. This is weird, he said, studying the bill. It shows charges for extra appointments that I don't remember, and some of the dates don't match what I have in my calendar. My heart skipped a beat. Billing errors happen all the time. I'll call and straighten it out. It's not just the billing, Martin said, still frowning at the paperwork. Some of these consent forms have signatures that don't look like mine. See? He showed me the paper. This one looks rushed, different from my usual signature. I forced myself to stay calm. You were nervous that day. People's handwriting changes when they're stressed. Martin nodded slowly, but I could see him filing the information away in that methodical brain of his. I guess you're right. I'll email them tomorrow just to make sure our records are accurate. That night, I lay awake listening to Martin's steady breathing, my mind racing. I'd been so careful, but there were always traces, always evidence. I needed to be smarter, more prepared. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I have something special planned. I smiled in the darkness and typed back, can't wait. But even as I sent the message, I couldn't shake the feeling that Martin was starting to piece things together. The way he'd looked at those consent forms, the questions he'd been asking, that damn journal he was always writing in. I told myself I was being paranoid. Martin trusted me. He loved me. He would never suspect that the baby he was so excited about wasn't his. But deep down, I knew that trust, once broken, was almost impossible to repair. And I was about to find out just how fragile the foundation of our marriage really was. The email from Dr. Patel's office arrived on a Thursday morning while I was at work. Martin forwarded it to me with a simple message. Can you explain this? My hands trembled as I read the clinic's response to his inquiry about the billing discrepancies. They were requesting a meeting to discuss irregularities in consent documentation and appointment scheduling. They wanted both of us there. I called Martin immediately. This is ridiculous. It's just bureaucratic nonsense. Maybe, he said, but his tone was different, colder. But we need to clear it up. I scheduled the meeting for next Tuesday. You scheduled it without asking me. Ione, if there are problems with our medical records, we need to address them, especially now that you're pregnant. That evening, Martin was quieter than usual during dinner. Maya chatted about her day at school, but I could feel the tension radiating from him. After we put her to bed, he disappeared into his study with that journal again. I tried to peek over his shoulder, but he immediately closed it. What are you writing about now? I asked, trying to keep my voice light. Just work stuff, project documentation. But I could see my name at the top of the page before he closed it. This wasn't about work. My sister Ria called later that evening. How's the pregnancy going? You sound stressed. Martin's being paranoid about some billing issues at the clinic, making a big deal out of nothing. That's so typical of him, Ria said with disgust. The man can't just be happy about anything. He has to analyze it to death. I know, right? I'm growing his child and he's worried about paperwork. Stand your ground, Ione. Don't let him ruin this experience for you. But even as I agreed with her, I couldn't shake the feeling that Martin was building a case against me. The way he'd been watching me, taking notes, asking careful questions, it felt like an investigation. The weekend was tense. Martin spent hours on his laptop, claiming to work on a project, but I caught glimpses of his screen. He was researching fertility clinic procedures, reading about consent forms and sample handling protocols. "Why are you reading about that?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Just trying to understand the process better," he said. "I want to be informed when we meet with Dr. Patel." Sunday evening, Maya came to me in tears. "Mommy, why are you and Daddy fighting all the time?" "We're not fighting, sweetheart. We're just talking about grown-up things." "But you look angry, and Daddy looks sad. Are you getting divorced like Emma's parents?" The question hit me like a physical blow. "No, baby. Daddy and I are just working through some things. We love each other, and we love you." But even as I said it, I wondered if it was true. Did Martin and I still love each other? Or were we just going through the motions, held together by habit and now by the baby I was carrying? That night, I met Ethan at his studio. I needed to feel desired, wanted, alive again. "You look upset," he said, pulling me into his arms. "Martin's asking questions about the clinic, getting suspicious about appointments and paperwork." Ethan's expression darkened. "What kind of questions?" "Nothing specific yet, but he's not stupid, Ethan. He's methodical, thorough. If there's evidence to find, he'll find it." "Maybe it's time to tell him the truth," Ethan said. "About us. About the baby." The suggestion sent panic through me. "No, not yet. I need more time to figure out how to handle this." "Ione, we can't keep this secret forever. Eventually, I'll figure it out," I snapped. "I just need you to trust me." But even as I said it, I wasn't sure I trusted myself. The meeting at Dr. Patel's office was scheduled for Tuesday at 2 p.m. I spent Monday night rehearsing explanations, trying to anticipate every question Martin might ask. Tuesday morning, Martin was unusually quiet during breakfast. He'd dressed in his best suit, like he was going to a business meeting instead of a medical appointment. "You're making too big a deal of this," I said as we drove to the clinic. "Am I? Because according to their records, you made 3 solo appointments that you never told me about. And the consent forms for the procedure we did, the one that resulted in your pregnancy, has signature irregularities." My stomach clenched. "I told you I had to reschedule a few times because of work, and signatures look different when you're nervous." Martin pulled into the clinic parking lot and turned to face me. "Ione, I need you to tell me the truth. Right now. Is there something I should know before we go in there?" For a moment, I considered telling him everything. The affair, the switch, the real father of the baby I was carrying. But the word stuck in my throat. "There's nothing to tell, Martin. You're being paranoid." He studied my face for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay, let's go get this sorted out." But I could see in his eyes that my denial had only made things worse. Dr. Patel's office felt different this time. The inspirational quotes about family seemed mocking, the soft pastels cold and clinical. Dr. Patel himself looked uncomfortable as he reviewed our file. "I want to be clear that this is just a routine inquiry," he began. "But we've noticed some discrepancies in your records that we need to clarify." Martin leaned forward. "What kind of discrepancies?" "Well, Mrs. Varell made several appointments that weren't reflected in our joint treatment plan, and there are some questions about the consent documentation for your most recent procedure." "What kind of questions?" Martin's voice was steady, but I could hear the tension underneath. Dr. Patel looked uncomfortable. "The signatures on the consent forms don't match our records of previous signatures, and there's a gap in our chain of custody documentation for the samples used in the procedure." The room seemed to spin around me. "Chain of custody? What does that mean?" "It means," Martin said quietly, that they can't verify that the samples used in the procedure were the ones we provided. Dr. Patel nodded reluctantly. We're not suggesting any wrongdoing. These things can happen due to clerical errors, mislabeling, administrative mistakes. But given that the procedure was successful, we want to make sure our records are accurate. Martin was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, "Is there a way to verify which samples were actually used?" "Well, we could run genetic testing once the baby is born, but that's really not necessary unless—" "I'd like to request that testing," Martin said firmly. My heart stopped. "Martin, that's ridiculous. Why would you—" "Because I want to be sure," he said, his eyes never leaving Dr. Patel's face. "I want to be absolutely certain that our records are accurate and complete." Dr. Patel looked between us, clearly uncomfortable with the tension in the room. "Of course, Mr. Varel, we can arrange for paternity testing after the birth. It's a simple blood test." As we left the clinic, I felt like I was walking through quicksand. Martin was quiet, thoughtful, and I knew he was processing everything he'd heard. "You don't really want that test," I said as we got in the car. "Don't I?" He started the engine but didn't put the car in drive. "Ione, something isn't right here. The appointments, the signatures, the missing documentation, it all points to something. It points to administrative errors, nothing more." Martin turned to look at me, and I saw something in his eyes that chilled me. It wasn't anger or suspicion. It was sadness. Deep, profound sadness. "I hope you're right," he said quietly. "Because if you're not, if there's something you're not telling me, it's going to destroy everything we've built together." That night, he didn't come to bed until very late. I heard him in his study, typing on his laptop, making phone calls, building his case. And for the first time since this all began, I realized that I might not be as clever as I thought I was. The letter arrived on a Friday morning, delivered by a courier in a crisp suit who asked me to sign for it personally. The return address made my blood run cold. Kellerman and Associates, attorneys at law. I tore it open with shaking hands. It was a formal request for information regarding potential discrepancies in medical procedures and documentation related to fertility treatment. They wanted copies of all my communications, financial records, and medical appointments for the past 6 months. Martin had hired a lawyer. I called him immediately, my voice shaking with rage and fear. "What the hell is this, Martin?" "It's exactly what it says it is," he replied calmly. "A request for information." "You hired a lawyer? Against your own wife?" "I hired a lawyer to help me understand what's happening to our family. The clinic's records don't make sense, Ione. Too many things don't add up. So you're treating me like a criminal?" "I'm treating this like what it is. A serious situation that needs professional guidance." That evening, I called an emergency family meeting. My mother Donna came over, along with Rhea. Martin's parents were there too, looking confused and concerned. "I need everyone to understand what's happening," I began, fighting back tears. "Martin has decided that instead of trusting his wife, instead of supporting me during this pregnancy, he's going to hire lawyers and treat me like I've committed some kind of crime." Donna looked horrified. "Martin, surely there's been some misunderstanding." Martin sat quietly in his chair, that damn journal in his lap. "I found evidence that suggests Ione hasn't been honest about her medical appointments. The clinic has confirmed irregularities in our treatment records." "Irregularities?" Derek asked. "What kind of irregularities?" "The kind that suggests someone tampered with the fertility treatment process," Martin said quietly. Linda gasped. "You can't be serious." Rhea jumped to my defense immediately. "This is insane, Martin. You're accusing Ione of what, exactly? Sabotaging her own fertility treatment." "I'm not accusing anyone of anything," Martin said. "I'm trying to get to the truth." "The truth?" I stood up, placing my hand protectively over my belly. "The truth is that I'm carrying your child, and instead of celebrating that miracle, you're trying to destroy our family with paranoid conspiracy theories. But even as I spoke, I could see doubt creeping into the faces around me. My mother looked confused, Derek seemed troubled, and Linda was studying me with those sharp eyes of hers. "Ione," Linda said carefully, "maybe you could help us understand. What exactly happened at these appointments Martin is asking about?" "Nothing happened," I snapped. "I had to reschedule a few times because of work conflicts. That's all, but apparently that's enough for my husband to decide I'm some kind of criminal mastermind." Rhea put her arm around me. "This is emotional abuse, Ione. Making you defend yourself when you're pregnant, threatening you with lawyers. It's textbook controlling behavior." Martin's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond to the accusation. Instead, he opened his journal and began reading in a calm, steady voice. "March 15th, Ione came home 3 hours late, claimed she was at a work meeting, but her timesheet shows she left the office at 3 p.m. March 22nd, found deleted text messages on her phone from someone named Ethan. March 29th, clinic appointment she claimed to attend was actually rescheduled, but she was gone for 4 hours." "You've been spying on me?" I was genuinely shocked by the extent of his documentation. "I've been paying attention to my wife," Martin replied. "Something I should have done sooner." Derek cleared his throat. "Son, maybe we should discuss this privately." "No," Martin said firmly. "If Ione wants to involve the family, then the family should know everything." He flipped to another page. "April 5th, strange charges on our credit card for a photography studio downtown. April 12th, Ione received a text asking, 'Did you do it?' which she deleted immediately." The room fell silent. I could feel everyone staring at me, waiting for an explanation. "You're taking things out of context," I said desperately. "Those texts were about work projects. The photography studio was for Maya's school pictures." "Maya's school pictures were taken at the school," Linda said quietly. "I have the forms." My world was crumbling around me, but I couldn't give up. Not now. "Fine. You want the truth? I've been planning a surprise for Martin. A photo shoot to announce the pregnancy properly. That's what the photography studio was for. That's what the texts were about. But now he's ruined it with his paranoid investigation." For a moment, hope flickered in the room. It was a good lie, believable, something that would explain away the evidence. But Martin wasn't finished. "Show them the photo," he said quietly. "What photo?" "The one you don't know I have. The one that was automatically backed up to our shared cloud storage." He pulled out his phone and showed the screen to the room. It was a photo of me and Ethan, taken at his studio. We were kissing, his hands on my waist, my body pressed against his. The timestamp showed it was taken 2 weeks after my successful fertility treatment. The silence in the room was deafening. Donna's face went white. "Ione, what is this?" Rhea looked between me and the photo, her mouth hanging open. Even she couldn't spin this. Linda stood up abruptly. "I think I need some air." "Mum, wait," I called after her, but she was already heading for the door. Derek followed his wife, shaking his head. This is not what I expected." My mother was crying now. "Honey, please tell me this isn't what it looks like." But what could I say? The evidence was right there, undeniable. Martin closed his phone and looked at me with those sad eyes. "The lawyer isn't just about the clinic records, Ione. It's about everything. The affair, the lies, the baby you're carrying that might not be mine." "It is yours," I said desperately. "Martin, the photo doesn't mean—" "It means exactly what it looks like," he said quietly. "And if you've been lying about the affair, what else have you been lying about?" That night, after everyone left, Maya came downstairs in her pajamas. The house felt empty and cold, like something essential had been drained out of it. "Mummy, why was everyone crying?" she asked. I knelt down to her level, fighting back my own tears. "Sometimes grown-ups have problems, sweetie, but it's going to be okay. Are you and Daddy getting divorced?" The question hung in the air between us. I looked across the room at Martin, who was sitting in his chair, staring at nothing. "I don't know, baby," I whispered. I honestly don't know. But deep down, I knew the answer. I'd pushed too far, lied too much, hurt too many people. The walls were closing in, and there was nowhere left to run. The next morning, I found another envelope on the kitchen counter. This one contained divorce papers and a request for immediate paternity testing. Martin was gone. He'd taken Maya and left for his parents' house, leaving me alone with the wreckage of everything I'd destroyed. 3 weeks later, the paternity test results arrived in a manila envelope that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I sat in the empty house. Martin had moved out completely, taking Maya with him, and stared at the sealed document that would determine the rest of my life. I already knew what it would say, of course, but seeing it in black and white, official and undeniable, was different than just knowing. The probability of paternity is 0%. Martin was not the father of the baby I was carrying. My phone rang. Martin's lawyer. Mrs. Varel, I'm calling to inform you that we've received the test results. We'll need to schedule a meeting to discuss the next steps in the divorce proceedings. I want to talk to Martin, I said. Mr. Varel has asked that all communication go through our office. Please, just 5 minutes. I need to explain. Ma'am, I don't think explanations are going to help at this point. We have documented evidence of adultery, fraud related to medical procedures, and now genetic proof that you misrepresented the paternity of your child. Mr. Varel is prepared to move forward with the divorce and full custody of Maya. Full custody. The words hit me like a physical blow. He can't take Maya away from me. I'm her mother. Mrs. Varel, I strongly suggest you retain legal counsel. This situation is quite serious. After he hung up, I sat in the silence of the house that had once been my home. Everything I'd worked for, everything I'd built, was gone. And for what? For a few months of feeling desired. For the thrill of rebellion against a marriage that, while not perfect, had been stable and loving. Ethan had disappeared the moment things got complicated. When I'd called to tell him about the paternity test, he'd been clear. I never signed up for this level of drama, Ione. I thought it was just an affair. I didn't know you were going to blow up your whole life. My family had been equally unsupportive. My mother was devastated, ashamed of what I'd done. Ria, who had encouraged my rebellion, now wanted nothing to do with the consequences. I told you to stand up for yourself, she'd said during our last conversation. I didn't tell you to destroy your family. The meeting at the lawyer's office was scheduled for a Friday afternoon. I'd managed to scrape together enough money for a consultation with a family law attorney, but she'd been blunt about my prospects. Mrs. Varel, I have to be honest with you. The evidence against you is overwhelming. The adultery, the deception about the fertility treatment, the genetic evidence. It paints a picture of someone who's been systematically dishonest. In custody cases, the court's primary concern is the best interest of the child. But I'm Maya's mother. That has to count for something. It does, but your husband can provide a stable home environment, and he has no history of deception or infidelity. The court is likely to favor him for primary custody. In the conference room, Martin, calmer, stronger, unrecognizable, sat with his lawyer while they laid out the terms. Supervised visitation with Maya every other weekend. Full custody to him. The house sold. No responsibility for the child I was carrying. The folder of evidence was meticulous. Texts, receipts, lies, and the paternity test that proved I'd tried to pass Ethan's baby off as his. I begged in the parking lot. I'm sorry, I was unhappy. I felt invisible. Martin's voice was quiet but unyielding. You never thought about consequences. For me, for Maya, or even for yourself. You just did what felt good. 6 months later, I gave birth to James alone. Ethan never showed. Supervised visits with Maya were painful. She was polite, distant, confused. Why don't you live with us anymore? Because Mommy wasn't honest, I told her, and that hurt people I love. The divorce was finalized on a grey November Tuesday. Martin got the house, primary custody, his life back. I got limited visitation and the full weight of what I'd done. As I watched him buckle Maya into his car, he approached one last time. The supervision ends in 6 months if you prove stability, job, counseling, honesty. I'm doing this for Maya, not you. Hurt her again, and you'll never see her unsupervised. I nodded, tears falling. Driving away with newborn James asleep beside me, I finally understood. I'd traded a good man's love, our daughter's security, and my own integrity for fleeting excitement and the lie that I deserved more. Rock bottom was ugly, but it was clear. For the first time, I knew exactly what I had to do. Rebuild, honestly, patiently, for my children. It would take years. Maybe I'd never fully repair the damage, but I would spend the rest of my life trying. Because they deserved a mother who chose them, not just when it was easy, but every single day.